What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. While we wait for Justin to join, I want to show you guys something that I saw pop up on my Instagram feed or something like that. It's in relation to the White House card. I don't buy it. I think it's just some BS thing that somebody was saying it got leaked, but it is interesting from the pure standpoint that, I mean, this is kind of to some extent what I thought was going to be on there, but the ordering doesn't exactly make sense. And anyways, I'm just going to show it to you guys real quick and we can chop it up until Justin gets here. So we got some comments already coming in. What up, Western? Okay, so we're going to look at this real quick. It's really random. I don't really buy it, but check this out. So this is apparent. Somebody said, oh, this got leaked. I seriously think it's BS. Like I said, I don't usually trust these things, but it's kind of fun. Just think about the White House card a little bit, and we can look at some of these matchups. Like, this is such a miss. Strickland versus Fluffy. See, this is BS. There's no way they're doing Strickland versus Fluffy all the way at that point. This would be a dope fight. This is actually a really cool idea if they do want to do this. I'd love to see Derek Lewis on there. I think that's cool. Burns versus Holland. We got to get Kevin Holland on the White House card. Whatever people want to say, I think we got to get him in there. Hey, what's up, Justin? Hold on. Let me get up. We're just quickly reviewing this fun little White House leak. I think it's BS, by the way, but I just thought it was fun too because there were some cool matchups on here for the White House card. Some of these other prelims, yeah, that would be cool if that happens. Costa on there would be cool. I do think it's BS, but if you look at the main thing, if they do make this Jones versus Kaheta fight as a BMF title, which I believe they will, I just don't see putting it below anybody else, in my opinion, because that's like the GOAT versus the GOAT. I would feel like you would want to headline the whole event with this. Plus, he's the American. I guess you could say with Chandler, he's the American, but there's just no stakes, like as we talked about. So this seems very sus to me, but fun, nevertheless, that's what to chat about. Anyways, let's get in the mix. Justin, what's going on? You're in the great outdoors. How's the weather out there in Vegas?
Oh, man, it's perfect. Like 75, 80 degrees, no humidity, man. It's the first day of wrestling season right now, so I'm taking these kids out to the track. They're warming up right now, and then about to kill these kids. So unfortunately and fortunately, like I said, I get out here, help these kids, but my show's going to be cut to 30 minutes for a couple months.
Yeah,
only
no worries.
February.
All right, no worries. So we're going to get in the mix right away, guys. And then when Justin logs off, I'm going to keep going and talk about some additional topics that are very interesting. And hopefully we can get to topic number 5. I might jump ahead because I do want to hear Justin's take because Justin may have something to say about it because one of his teammates is being discussed. Now, let's start off with this story that's going crazy all over sports news, MMA news, etc. We're talking about Dulgarian getting cut for his performance over the weekend, and Justin and his really good buddy, professional sports bettor Aaron O'Rourke, if I'm pronouncing that last name right, O'Rourke, they did a video yesterday. You guys should check it out where he breaks it down. He explains, if you look at the movement, that it was nothing so specific that so I listened to the video last night, by the way, and correct me if I'm misstating anything, but he was looking at the movements and he was saying it's not so atypical. And what it seemed to indicate, and Justin, I might have you chime in a second, was not so much that it was a grand conspiracy per se between organized crime or, something or some largely ornate operation like that. But instead, what it may have been is the release of information about him having an injury or maybe him being unable to perform at his peak. That information leaked out and then it spread. Now, what I've also heard from Ariel Helwani today on his show where he talked to another professional bettor was that what can happen is sometimes maybe that information gets released to 1 or 2 people, but as the fight gets closer, then they're telling their cousin, then their aunt, then this person, then that person. So the 3 people becomes 30, and then you get all these bets coming in, very, very specific bets that are coming in favorable to what the outcome actually was. And so it might be something along those lines. Friends of or family of the fighter knew of the injury. Justin, let me get your thoughts. Let me get your 2 cents on what you think exactly went down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we have to talk about what's advantageous for this fighter in the sense. So when in all the videos of the conspiracy videos saying, oh, corruption, all this money was put on him to finish in the first round. That is true. But there was money for him to be finished in the second round. There was money put on for him to be finished in the third round. So whoever had this information just was taking the odds that he was going to get finished at some time in the fight. Now, if you look at it as a single event, yeah, he put it on the first round. Yeah, that sounds suspicious, but it's not suspicious because, again, it's the same thing happened in the second and the third. All right, now let's talk about, as a fighter, how this could help him out. Let me tell you how UFC contracts work. All right, or at least my experience with my UFC contract. The first contract they sign you to is 4 fights. Then after your third or your fourth fight, depending on what you've done for the company, if you're winning, if you're losing, they reevaluate, and then they're going to sign to a new contract. So he's 2-1 coming into his fourth fight. All right, he just lost a very boring split decision, and he's on the verge of being cut from the UFC. All right, in your first contract, you're not making more than 15,000. All right, so his first fight he won, so he got 12-12. His second fight he probably got 13-13. And then his third fight he was going to get 14-14. All right, so now let's talk about that for a second. If you, Huzaifa, and regard of if you have, say, $100,000 and you're like, I want to put $100,000 on this guy to get finished in the first round, you cannot walk into a casino and say, here's $100,000. I want to put it on him to get finished in the first round. No casino would ever take that. All right, that wouldn't happen. So the max bet you could probably put as a civilian that doesn't know him for betting history and upon our prop bet is probably 1,000 to 5,000. All right. So now let's say me and you and Aaron, we all can put $5,000 on this bet. All right. So me, you, and Aaron, and 2 of your buddies, we can put a total of 25 grand on this bet. All right. We put the money on the bet. All right. There's 25,000, and now and we win. Okay. We win, but it's not that advantageous for the fighter. He'd have to have so much money put for it to be advantageous for him, because if he goes out and gets finished in his fourth fight, now the chance of him signing, he just again won or lost a boring split decision. The chance of him getting re-signed and making any amount of money ever again in his career is gone. So it doesn't make any sense for the fighter to do it either.
Got it. Now, also, you did, I don't know if you heard this, but I believe he did get officially released, which is somewhat atypical for them to release a fighter on the Sunday or the Monday after, but it looks like he was cut. Does that tell you anything?
No, it tells me that he fought to a boring, his one win was a boring split. I don't remember if it was win or loss. No, I think it was a win. It was a boring split decision. So he won his debut. Then he won his next fight by decision, or by split decision. Then he lost his next fight. He's on the chopping.
Justin, real quick, I'm so sorry. Are you touching something or hitting the phone on something? Because I'm hearing a clap noise.
I think it was my finger.
And it's doing okay. So just FYI. But yeah, sorry. Keep going.
So you think about it. He wins his debut. He wins a boring split decision his second fight. Then he loses. He's on the chopping block regardless of the situation. I think the UFC just acted faster because of the situation.
Right.
Now, when people are talking about William Hill, like this big article I just saw, and I want to clear this up. Oh, Caesar Sports and William Hill are paying back all the bettors that lost money on this. All right. Yeah. And everyone's like, wow, that's great. No, it's not that great, because it's an undercard fight that doesn't mean anything. There's not a lot of money put on. So we'll take Caesars, which is $1 billion sports betting business. Say they have to pay back $50,000. That's free advertisement. It's a $50,000 advertise, because they can put it out and say, we paid back all the bettors, but essentially they're not losing any money. It's $1 billion organization. I mean, what's the math? 50,000 to $1 billion. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization. So, and I think William Hill's worth like 35 million or something. So when these sports books are like, oh, there might be corruption, this is how good we are of a sports book, we're going to pay back all the bettors. It's the craziest thing, because it's really not that much money.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. I think all that makes sense. Yeah, they were talking about it too today in context of what's been happening with the NBA and whatnot. They were also saying, so it's interesting because they were saying, well, maybe the fact that the payment's a little bit lower for UFC athletes compared to NBA athletes or whatever, that there's more incentive to do these types of things or carry on these types of behaviors. But what you're saying is, well, wait a minute. There's actually quite a bit of money on the line. Even if you're talking 15 and 15, that's 30 grand. And now that's cut off because of what's happened here. But, these are too much of a risk reward situation to actually exit out, because also too, how much are you realistically even going to be able to make without detection from these gambling schemes?
Exactly. And that's the other thing. Like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but let's say I could bet $5,000 on this. It's would I make $1,500 $15,000? Think about it. If he gets a contract, if he wins the fight and gets a contract extension, his next fight's going to be for $20,000. And then the fight after that, 24-24. Like that's more money than he would make in a gambling scandal.
Hey, Justin, is there a way you could put your phone down? Because the clicking keeps happening. I don't know if there's a way, because I think it's maybe you're moving it or touching it. That might be.
I'm sitting in some bleachers. Let me see.
See if that could be a good adjustment. Yeah, sorry, guys. But anyways, okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think another thing that's interesting as well that they brought up with the NBA scandal, if people want to say, oh, we'll pay them more or pay the fighters more, which I'm not saying I'm opposed to by any means, but that as a standalone solution doesn't work because it's not about payment, it's about money management. The reason a lot of these NBA guys that got wrapped up in that scheme, they were making like in millions of dollars, hundreds of millions. In one case, I believe he had $100 million contract over a period of time. But what happens is, and this was what was explained in the Mafia video that I watched from the defected Mafia member, is that what they'll do is when you start making more money, they'll invite you to these high stakes poker games, and these guys are leveraging cash, and like they don't know, a lot of times they're not coached on how to save their money or allocate the money. They'll lend it out to a lot of people. They'll start businesses. They'll buy multiple properties. And then when the funds run dry and you still have multiple mortgages, that's when you get buried with all these financial obligations. So what's happening is he says that they're easy marks. They get them into a little bit more financial trouble. And then they said, well, the way you're going to get out of it is you got to fix this game, or you got to bench these players. You got to do something to move the line so we can capitalize on it. And then we'll start to figure, I like you. You're a good guy. I want to help you out. So I can help you out, but you got to help us out is the way he explained how they wrote them into it. So I think really at the heart of it, now I'm not talking for Dulgarian because it sounds like this was not any sort of inside conspiratorial gambling thing. But in general, I think one of the best ways that they can combat it is get some financial coaches for UFC fighters. I don't know if that exists. Maybe it does. But I think it's more about money management, not about necessarily increasing the income to curtail this issue. But anyways, fascinating story. We got a lot more to talk about. So I want to jump ahead because I want to get Justin's opinion on this. Okay, let me set the stage. I made a video and it's getting a lot of views right now relative to our channel. Okay, I think it's past like 500 views already. Dude. Let me set it up for Justin. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar, here's what happens. We're going to back up. We're going back to Tom Aspinall. We're going back to iPoke. I'm sorry, but we have to talk about this because you couldn't script this. You couldn't write a story that would be believable, that would unfold the way that this is unfolded. So leading up to the UFC 321, Tom Aspinall it was a comedy of errors. His dad went on record saying that they want to fight out their contract. They don't want to re-sign it. They want him to go box. Highly unprofessional, in my opinion. You're working in coordination with the promotion, and then on the heels of your championship fight, you say that you don't want to re-sign and you want to go and box and eventually leave the sport. Like, bad time to say that. Bad time to say that. Period. But especially fight week, I think that was really bad, and I understand. Like, it was not a good thing to say. It was not a good look. Then we also have the statements from Tom Aspinall saying, well, if Ante Delija, he's like my boy, he's who I train with. If he gets a title shot, I'll just vacate. I don't want to fight him. He's my boy. And I get that sentiment. And Justin, I'm sure there's people you feel that way about. Like, you would never fight Roman or your boys if you had to. And I understand that. But we know that the organization does not like this because it limits the options. It makes it more difficult to matchmake. They don't want to hear fighters say that. And they don't want that mentality to be checked off, to be okay, because then more fighters might want to, take that same road. So anyways, he says, no, I'd retire for Ante Delija. That pissed Dana White off in the UFC, I'm sure. Then Ante Delija is getting his back and being like, man, I can't believe that eye poke. That was crazy. There needs to be way harsher penalties because you know why? Ante Delija says, I've had 33 fights. I never poked somebody in the eye once. Now, Ante Delija is also a kickboxer, so some of that's not totally fair. Then you can't write this. He said that it's on Friday, Justin. On Friday, he says this. On Saturday, he goes in, has his fight against Salsa Boy. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, he pokes him in the eye, but not only does he poke him in the eye, unlike Cyril Gahn, who immediately backed up from the eye poke, he pokes him in the eye, and then you could see Salsa Boy grabbing his eye. But Ante Delija does not stop, lays down a barrage of punches, just smokes him. But then the referee finally jumps in, doesn't wave it off, jumps in, checks his eye, says, yep, that was an eye poke, restarts the fight. Salsa Boy comes in with bad intentions because he was pissed off. He's like, you poked me in the eye. You tried to take advantage of it. You saw that my eye was messed up and you tried to finish me. So he was pissed. And he came in there, and this is rarely happens. Usually the person that gets poked in the eye loses. He comes back in mad, angry, ready to settle the score. And he does just that. Ante Delija comes forward and boom, Salsa Boy clips him, takes him to the ground and pounds. Then finally, to add insult to injury, goes on the mic and says, yo, Dana White, us heavyweights, there are heavyweights like me that don't quit after an eye poke. We keep going. So let me know, and I want to fight your boy Tom Aspinall because I'm not a quitter. I'm a real fighter. React.
I mean, what a great scandal to be a part of. You know what I mean? Perfect timing to make your call out. Perfect timing to get a shot too. You know, I think the rematch with Cyril Gane's going to happen first, but man, what a great storyline that is. You know, especially for Ipogate.
What do you know about Salsa Boy? Like, how good
I know
is
nothing.
Okay.
I know nothing about him.
People are saying that it would be a tough fight for Salsa Boy against Tom Aspinall, but man, what a buildup! I mean, you can't script it better than that. Ante Delija is trying to call out Cyril Gane for an eye poke, and then he pokes Salsa Boy, and he tries to finish him. Like, I don't even know what to make of it. What can we even? My head's just spinning. It's like we have him coming out and trying to act honorable, and look, I don't know if you've ever poked somebody in the eye or not. Maybe you haven't, but I mean, he's trying to say like what a piece of crap you are for doing it, and then he does it like literally the next day. I don't even know what to make of it. It's so crazy. I mean, are we to blame fighters when they eye poke, or is it truly something sometimes you just can't control?
I mean, out of 80 fights, I've never poked anybody in the eye. And, you know, sometimes, you know, like with the gloves, the way the knuckles are out, sometimes like the knuckle will go in the eye and people will mistake it for an eye poke. But I saw an interesting video, and I still want to get all my research on Cyril Gane before I start talking about him being a dirty fighter. But certain fighters are more susceptible to poking people in the eye. I mean, John Jones has come out and said, yeah, I poke people in the eye. That's just what I do. And you know, I think that era is coming to an end. I really think there's going to be some real changes made in the next couple months, doing with disqualifications and points being taken away with no warning.
Dude, it's so crazy. Actually, we're going to talk about that actually right now. So in terms of the eye poke rules, what was being said, I think has changed now, but Herb Dean did an interview and said they're convening this week and there's going to be changes immediately put into effect this Tuesday. Apparently now it is going to take some time. They want to be a bit more patient about the deliberations and changing the eye poke rules. It sounds like, though, to me, because the only thing that makes sense would be some sort of a strict liability change. Get rid of the warnings, forget about intent or lack thereof, and just take a point. Then on the second one, if you do it again, that could lead to a DQ or a secondary point removed, etc., which would have a massive impact on the fight. We're talking 3 rounds. That's like basically giving somebody a round and thereby saying you just have to win one round.
Only have to win 1 round, and that's the other problem. I think strategies would change in fights a lot.
So, but the interesting thing is, if you put that's basically it's shifting the burden. So you're basically shifting the burden now from the refs and the commission and whatever to the fighters, because now it's out of their hands. You're going to get a point automatically deducted. So what I wonder is, and what do you predict? Do you think all of a sudden the eye pokes are just going to magically stop because people are like, yo, I can't risk it. I got to change my training style and my fighting style. Like no more Muay Thai chops as I throw a kick or whatever. Like we got to be tight because otherwise we just simply lose the fight with the eye poke. What do you foresee happening?
Man, I see a lot of it stopping because again, there's fighters that actively do it. I mean, there's you know, running jokes we talk about on the show of you get 1 free kick to the balls too. You know what I mean? It's just if there's an angle to be played, people are going to find the angle. But you know, taking it away, I do think it will be a big. I think percentage wise, it's going to slow down significantly. I mean, obviously there are still accidental pokes. There's no question. Turning like a Muay Thai kick over and you know you're blocking like so. I think it's going to eliminate them 100%. No, I don't. But I definitely think it's going to slow down on the guys like Cyril Gane, John Jones, who John Jones openly discusses. You know what I mean? He reaches his fingers out. I mean, think of the distance management too. All right. If I'm flat palmed, I mean, my fingers, I mean, that's 6 inches more I can keep you away with than just, you know, using my palm. And I mean, when you're as smart as a fighter as John Jones, I mean, he's taking all those things into effect.
That is actually exactly what Rampage Jackson said earlier this week on the Jackson pod, is that John Jones knows exactly what he's doing. Like when he fights with that style, he's almost like banking on the fact that he thinks, because he's like, there's nothing about John Jones that's not calculated. It's all calculated because he's just such like a scary cerebral fighter. So I do believe you. I do think it'll be very interesting. I think it'll stop the situation immediately. And then you don't have to worry about gloves. You don't have to worry about how to change the sport because the fighters will do it on their own out of self-interest. So it'll be very interesting. And I'm curious to know, last question on this before we move on, because I got got to talk to you about the Jake Paul fight. There's something that pertains to one of your teammates. But do you has Extreme Couture, have you guys had a meeting at all, or do you foresee yourselves having a meeting if this rule does get changed, of like, hey, this is going to be a new protocol across the gym, this is how we're going to address it, this is how we're going to adjust, or what do you think is going to happen?
I don't think so. I mean, it really not very many eye pokes happen in the gym. I mean, they have happened, obviously. And if you know my coach, Roman Izzy Slots, he actually lost his vision in a training accident. He got poked in the eye, and now he's blind in his left eye. So I'm not saying they don't happen, but I think for the most part, I mean, we take care of each other in the gym. And I'm not saying entirely, but when it comes to like eye pokes, I mean, like I said, some guys spar really hard, and you feel like they're not taking care of you with how hard they're hitting you. But very rarely are there any eye pokes, especially intentional eye pokes.
Okay, fair enough, and we'll see how that unfolds and how that goes. And that's good to know that Extreme Couture doesn't really seem to have that big of a problem. We got to talk about. We're going to jump ahead to topic 5. We got to talk about Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. So it's not. I guess it's not 100% off, because as I learned more about the case, basically, I guess he already had some domestic violence charges brought against him from a different girlfriend. Now it's a new ex-girlfriend that brought more charges against him of domestic violence. I don't know the exact nature of it, but it seems like they're potentially looking for another opponent. I don't know how for sure this is, or maybe Tank Davis still has a chance to fight. But here's what's interesting. They're reaching out to all sorts of different people. I guess they were even thinking about having, what's that guy's name with the YouTube channel? The guy that does Prime with Logan Paul, KSI. They're thinking about KSI, but whatever. Then I heard one name that got me very, very interested, and you could probably guess. It was Francis Ngannou. So they reached out to Francis. Now, Francis responded and said, yes, they actually did reach out to me. But his response was, don't insult me by offering me Jake Paul. And I thought about it, and I was like, why is that an insult? That's perfect. That's the perfect ultimate super fight. First of all, if Jake Paul's willing to fight Francis, that's amazing, and it looks like he is. That now everything that people were saying about Tank Davis, it's the other way. You're obviously a much less skilled boxer, but a huge boxer, a power puncher. It's terrifying. Francis Ngannou and Jake Paul on Netflix, like everybody would watch that. It'd be so interesting. Why do you think Francis would turn this down? I don't understand it.
Honestly, I have no idea, man. And I can't imagine in any realm Francis losing. You know what I mean? Immediately it's like, and I don't want to talk shit on my teammates, but like that, to me, that just seems like an easy paycheck going there. And unless he has some doubt, you know, man, and it's not like Francis needs any more money. You know, there could be that tale too. I can't think of any circumstance where I would turn that down.
I have a hot take. I think Jake Paul beats him, honestly.
Well,
I think Jake Paul beats him.
That's why I said
really
I don't want to talk shit about my team.
You don't have to say anything. I'll just say, in my opinion, because Francis, I think, is a power puncher. He's amazing. You take it to MMA, it's a whole different story, obviously. But I think in boxing, dude, Jake's been training pure boxing for a long time with the best of the best. I think as much of a clown as he likes to portray himself as on social media, I think he's very disciplined. I think he's very serious. I think he's for sure the better boxer. So Francis will have the size and maybe the power advantage. But yeah, you know, all the things that he did against Anthony Joshua, the way he was kind of he was like over pairing the punches, which is not really something you do in boxing. The stance switching, it looked really clunky. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe Francis has been boxing up a storm since then, but I doubt it. You know, he's had a lot of things going on in his personal life. Like, I bet you from Jake's last fight till now, he's improved substantially. I don't know if it's the same with Francis. I think Jake beats him, and I'm not saying I don't know. That's actually is probably why he's not taking it, to be honest. What is he going to do if he loses to Jake Paul? He fought Tyson Fury, and now he loses to Jake Paul. What is he going to do?
Retire and ride off into the sunset, man. He has plenty of money. He's a frugal guy. But yeah, to go back to your assessment on his training, I haven't seen him in the gym once in months.
Yeah. And maybe he's training elsewhere. I don't know. Maybe he's training at a boxing gym. It is possible, but I'll tell you this though. I'll tell you this. You get Francis Ngannou in the mix on that fight as opposed to Tank Davis. To me, I was gonna already watch the fight. I'm not gonna lie, but that sends the intrigue level times 10. I'd be so curious to see what happens. Obviously, you know, I love when our MMA guys get in there versus just like the traditional boxers. And it is a serious threat. Yes, do I think Jake Paul can win 100%, but Francis will have a chance. He's got that KO power. He's got the big power. He's probably going to take Jake's shots better because he's so darn big and strong and whatnot. So I don't know, man. Oh, I want to see it. I want to see it. What do you think?
Keep in mind, Francis not put down Tyson Fury.
Francis did not put down Tyson Fury, you said?
No, he did.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah, he knocked him down. He dropped him.
And you think Jake Paul would beat Tyson Fury?
No, but I think that was like a weird fluke of a fight. I don't know. I could be wrong. Because like what do you think with that fight? Granted, Tyson Fury is Tyson Fury. He probably shouldn't have had to train whatsoever, but everybody was saying that he looked like he didn't do any training. He didn't take it seriously. He just kind of went in and was caught off guard by Francis and was confused. And that's why he got clipped and all that. And then he still won, but they're saying that. And then you also look at what happened with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua just mopped the floor with him.
Yeah, I think your take is exactly right. From what you hear, I think he just overlooked him. He realized, this is an MMA guy. No MMA guy's ever competed with a boxer before. I don't need to train. And they realized, oh shit, I've been in those moments like, I wish I would have trained a little bit more,
Yeah, and maybe he thought he was going to get him out early too. So it's like, I don't even need to work on my cardio that much. This is going to be a piece of cake. This guy sucks. Like whatever, thought he was going to suck at boxing, obviously.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Man, it's interesting. I hope they get it. I thought it was a great play and a great idea. I hope he turns around and we shall see what's going to go down. Okay, I know you got to go in a couple minutes. Let's go very quickly to number 4. This is a quick topic. We might have a bit of a shorter show for you guys today. I'll stick around for a little bit longer and talk about the final topic. Bo Nickal. Remember we reviewed on Friday UFC 322? And remember Bo Nickal was on the main card in the feature prelim. The feature prelim was BSD versus Beneil. They swapped it.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know why they did, but yeah, I saw that today. They moved Bo Nickal off the card. So you're okay with it? Do you think I am still a little surprised though, because I hate to say it, as much as I'm a huge fan of Beneil and I like BSD, so I like that fight. But I feel like generally Bo Nickal's got a bigger name in MMA. Why do you think they switched it at the last moment?
I think they're just more deserving. I mean, when you look at Beneil, he's been there. He's been in the top 5, top 10. Then you have Saint Denis, right? He's fighting Saint Denis.
Yeah,
I think it's just a bigger names. You look at Bo Nickal, obviously, I think he's the bigger name of both of them. But who's his opponent?
Yeah, some guy with the last name of V. I can't remember
exactly, and that's what it comes down to. You have 2 great names. Obviously, Bo Nickal's bigger than both, but he's coming off a loss, and he's still the featured prelim. It's not like they threw him at the beginning card. He's still the featured prelim, and he's still going to get it. A lot of people and it's going to be free, I believe. The featured prelims are free, so he's going to have a lot more eyes on him anyway. So I don't think it's a bad move at all.
Rodolfo Vieira. Exactly. I'm not too super familiar with him, but yeah, that's fair. I guess it is what it is. Okay, Justin, you got to go to your wrestling practice, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, go do your thing. Good job. And guys, I'm going to stick around and talk about Gable Steveson for our final topic. And
that's exciting. That's a great topic too.
We'll wish Justin well. Yep. All right, man. Take it easy. Peace. Okay. So guys, the last topic that I wanted to discuss today was our favorite MMA prospect, Gable Steveson. Wait, we got a couple of comments. Let me read them real quick. Western says, I say give Waldo the shot right now. Tom didn't cheat. Waldo didn't cheat. Run it. Hey, I would be down for that. I'd like to see Salsa Boy go up against Tom Aspinall. We shall see. Jake Paul lost to Tommy Fury. Yes, he did back in the day, though. That's what I'm saying, Western, is that I think that Jake Paul has probably improved leaps and bounds, and I bet you he's a completely different fighter now than he was back then, because I do believe he's been working on it and trying to fine-tune his skill set and all that stuff. So that's my contention. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Okay, last but not least, Gable Steveson. Who do we want next? Now, I did want to talk to Justin a little bit about this because it's very exciting. It's very interesting. We don't know his ceiling. We don't know exactly how good this guy is already, and I know he's trying to take it slow. He doesn't want to get in there and go too crazy and try and fight champions. I think he even made a comment leading up to his dirty boxing debut, something like that. Like, no, I know where I'm at. I don't think I can beat champions yet, but eventually, one day. But is he being humble? Could he actually go in there right now into the heavyweight division and starch some of those guys that are outside of the top 10 or even inside of the top 10? I think yes. I think the level of athleticism that we see from Gable Steveson tells me that even though his training might not be up to speed yet, up to par yet, I think he could go in there and actually beat some of these guys in the top 10. Now, will they put him in the top 10? Will they or set him up or just get him into the UFC this year and start matching him up? I don't know. Because once he starts, like if he does go in there and let's say he beats one of these top 10 guys, he's got to fight a top 5. He's got to move up and up. Like that's the way the game goes. And the problem is he's not going to have enough time to train and keep working and to keep growing and building to get to the place where he really wants to be when he's atop the division, which is going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. So what I think they're going to do, though, I do think they're going to sign him to the UFC. But I think they're really going to slow play it. They're going to give him somebody that's, unranked, obviously, and just let him go do his thing and let just people be in awe of him smashing people. Kind of like what they did with Khamzat Chimaev. So we had Khamzat Chimaev have multiple fights where he just steamrolled people. John Phillips. I remember there was the other gentleman at the beginning, 2 fights back-to-back within 10 days, just smashed both those guys. Then he came in, smashed Gerald Meerschaert. They were going to throw him up to Leon Edwards, but Khamzat was in a different spot. I think Khamzat had been training for longer and was kind of ready to run in there and show his full skill set. It's a little bit different with Gable Steveson. I think he still has probably some things that he wants to work on and fine tune. Maybe his jiu-jitsu, maybe not. I don't know. But so I imagine they want to give him a couple years, maybe 2-3 years before he can get his first title shot. But I think they need to get him in the UFC yesterday, get him in there, get him a fight in January, February, March. Featured prelim. You could even throw him on the I would watch him on the main card, honestly. First fight. I'd say do it. If it were up to me, but I get very hyped by exciting prospects like this. So I'd want him on a main card. Let's see him get in there against some heavyweight competition and let's see him just smash people. Just like we saw Khamzat smash people back in the day. Dude, this is very exciting. Gable Steveson, mark my words, we've been saying it consistently for a while now. He will be the next big superstar, heavy, like just massive prospect in the UFC. And the beauty is he's only 25 and is heavyweight, where these guys can be champs up till 40 and plus. So we got a long road, amazing road for Gable Steveson, and arguably the most athletic heavyweight fighter we've ever seen grace the UFC octagon. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure to click like if you're still around and you did enjoy the stream and you enjoyed the show today. Thank you so much for joining. Let us know if there's any other topics or videos you want us to cover in particular. Like I said, make sure to check out the Tom Aspinall video that I dropped yesterday, as well as Justin and Aaron's take on this entire gambling debacle. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.